Introduction. Why willpower always breaks. First, willpower is a resource that runs out. You feel it every time you try to force yourself through a day. You start strong, full of intention, ready to follow through. But by midday, the edge is gone. The clarity fades, the energy drains, and suddenly the plan you made in the morning feels impossible to finish. This is not a character flaw. This is biology. Willpower is a limited tank. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every moment you try to stay on track, it all pulls from the same supply. And when that supply empties, you are left with nothing but your environment, your habits, and the systems you either built or ignored. Most people spend their entire lives believing they need more willpower. They think discipline is about being mentally tough every single moment. So they wake up with resolve. They promise themselves they will eat clean, work focused, stay calm, resist distraction. They believe this time will be different, but by evening they are back where they started, scrolling, snacking, procrastinating, and they blame themselves. The problem is not you. The problem is the strategy. You cannot rely on willpower to carry you through life. It will fail. Not because you are weak, but because it was never designed to last. Think about someone trying to stop eating junk food. They wake up determined. They say no to the cookies in the morning. They skip the vending machine at lunch. But by 8 at night, sitting on the couch, tired and drained, they open the pantry. The cookies are still there. The decision has to be made again. And this time, willpower is gone. So they eat, and the cycle repeats. Now imagine a different approach. The cookies were never bought. The pantry was filled with better options. The evening routine included a walk, not a couch collapse. There is no battle. There is no decision fatigue. The outcome was designed in advance. That is the difference between forcing discipline and building it. One relies on internal strength that fades. The other relies on external structure that holds. This audiobook is not about working harder. It is about working smarter. It is about understanding that discipline is not a feeling. It is a framework. You will learn how to remove friction instead of fighting it. You will learn how to make the right choice, the automatic choice. You will learn how to engineer your life so that discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Not because you are perfect, but because the system around you does not allow failure. Willpower breaks. Systems do not. And from this point forward, you will stop depending on one and start building the other. Chapter 1. Discipline is not a trait. It is a design. Lena woke up every morning with the same intention. Today would be different. Today she would follow through. She set her alarm earlier. She laid out her workout clothes. She told herself she was ready. But by 9 in the morning, the clothes were still folded on the chair. The alarm had been snoozed 3 times. And she was sitting at her desk, frustrated and confused, wondering why she could not just be disciplined. This happens because Lena, like most people, believed discipline was a personality trait, something you either have or you do not, something that lives inside certain people and skips others. But that belief is the reason she kept failing. Because discipline is not a trait, it is a design. It is not something you are born with. It is something you build piece by piece through structure, environment, and intentional choice. The psychological mechanism here is simple but misunderstood. The brain does not run on willpower. It runs on patterns. It looks for the path that requires the least energy. If the easy path is scrolling, the brain will choose scrolling. If the easy path is skipping the workout, the brain will choose that. Not because you are lazy, but because the brain is efficient. It will always take the option that feels automatic. So if you want discipline, you do not fix your personality, you fix your environment. You redesign your day so that the disciplined choice becomes the default choice. You remove the need to decide. You remove the need to resist. You build a life where the right action is easier than the wrong one. Here is what this looks like in practice. Lena wants to work out in the morning. Right now, her process is this. Wake up, debate whether to work out, feel tired, hit snooze, get up late, feel guilty. The friction is too high. There are too many decision points, too many places where willpower has to step in, and willpower, as we know, runs out fast. Now imagine this instead. Lena goes to bed in her workout clothes. Her shoes are by the door. Her water bottle is filled. Her phone alarm is across the room, not beside her bed. When the alarm rings, she has to stand up to turn it off. And once she is standing, in workout clothes with her shoes in sight, the next step is obvious. Not easy, but obvious. The friction is gone. The design is doing the work. This is not about tricking yourself. This is about removing the barriers that make discipline hard. Every unnecessary decision is a place where you can fail. Every moment of hesitation is a moment where the old habit can return. So you design those moments out of your life. You do not rely on motivation. You rely on structure. Another real-world example. Someone wants to stop checking their phone during work. Right now, the phone sits on the desk, screen up, notifications on. Every buzz is a pull. Every glow is a distraction. Willpower says ignore it. But willpower is weak against a lit screen 2 feet away. So instead, the phone goes in another room. It is turned off. It is placed in a drawer with a timer lock. Now there is no decision to make. The temptation is not there. The environment has been designed to support focus, not fight it. This is the shift. Discipline is not about being strong enough to resist. It is about being smart enough to remove the need to resist. You do not fight the cookie. You do not buy the cookie. You do not fight the distraction. You remove the distraction. You do not fight the snooze button. You move the alarm. Here is the exact script for when someone says they lack discipline. Do not say I need to be more disciplined. Say I need to design my day better. Do not say I will try harder tomorrow. Say I will remove one obstacle today. Do not say I failed again. Say my system failed. Now I will fix the system. This reframe is critical, because when you blame yourself, you stay stuck. When you blame the system, you can fix it. And the system is always fixable. Now for the practical exercise. Choose one behavior you want to make automatic. It could be drinking water first thing in the morning. It could be writing for 10 minutes before checking email. It could be putting your phone away during meals. Whatever it is, do not rely on willpower. Design the environment so the behavior happens without thinking. If you want to drink water, fill the glass the night before and place it on your nightstand. If you want to write, open the document before bed so it is waiting for you in the morning. If you want to stop checking your phone, leave it in another room and set a timer. Small design, big result. The truth is this. Disciplined people are not more motivated. They are better architects. They build environments that make discipline easy. They remove friction. They automate decisions. They stop hoping they will feel like doing the right thing and start making sure the right thing is the only convenient thing. You are not broken. Your system is. And the moment you accept that, everything changes. Because now you are not fighting yourself. You are redesigning your life. And that is something you can control. Discipline is not a trait. It is a design. And starting today, you will build it. Chapter 2. Why Motivation Fails and Systems Do Not. Marcus decided he was going to change his life. He watched videos, read articles, felt the surge of energy that comes with a new decision. He was going to wake up at 5 in the morning. He was going to run every day. He was going to build the life he always wanted. The first morning, he did it. He woke up early, he ran, he felt amazing. The second morning, he did it again. By the third morning, the alarm felt heavier. By the fifth, he turned it off and went back to sleep. 2 weeks later, nothing had changed. This is the cycle most people live in. They wait for motivation. They chase the feeling. And when the feeling fades, they stop. Then they blame themselves for not having enough drive. But the problem is not Marcus. The problem is that motivation is an emotion, and emotions do not last. They spike. They fade. They come and go based on sleep, stress, weather, mood. You cannot build a life on something that unreliable. Motivation is useful for starting. It gives you the initial push. It gets you off the couch. But it does not carry you through. It does not show up on the hard days. It does not wake you up when you are tired. It does not keep you going when progress is slow. Motivation is the spark, but systems are the engine. A system is a repeatable process that does not depend on how you feel. It is a structure that runs whether you are excited or exhausted. It removes the question of whether you will do something and replaces it with when and how. Systems do not care about motivation. They care about consistency, and consistency is what creates results. Here is the difference in real life. Someone motivated to get in shape might go to the gym when they feel like it. They might work out hard one week, skip the next, restart again when guilt builds up. Their results are inconsistent because their actions are inconsistent. Now compare that to someone with a system. They go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 in the morning. No debate, no decision. The system runs. Some days they feel great, some days they feel tired. But they go anyway because the system does not ask how they feel. The psychological mechanism here is called decision fatigue. Every time you have to decide whether to do something, you use mental energy. And the more decisions you make, the weaker your willpower becomes. That is why people who rely on motivation burn out. Every single day they have to redecide. Should I work out today? Should I eat healthy today? Should I stay focused today? By the time they make 10 decisions like that, they are exhausted, and the easiest choice becomes doing nothing. Systems eliminate that fatigue. You do not decide. You follow the system. The decision was already made when you built the structure. Now you just execute. That is why people with systems outperform people with motivation every single time. Not because they are more disciplined, because they removed the need for discipline. Let me give you another real-world example. Someone wants to read more books. If they rely on motivation, they will read when they feel inspired. Maybe they read 3 chapters one night, then nothing for 2 weeks. Then they feel guilty and try to read again. The habit never sticks because it is tied to emotion. Now imagine this system. Every night at 9, the phone goes in another room. The book is already on the nightstand. A timer is set for 15 minutes. When the timer goes off, reading begins. No decision, no negotiation. The system runs. After 30 days, 15 minutes becomes automatic. After 60 days, it becomes part of identity. The person is now someone who reads every night. Not because they are motivated, but because the system made it easy. Here is the script you need when motivation fades. Do not say, "I do not feel like doing this today." Say, "The system runs whether I feel like it or not." Do not say, "I will do it when I am ready." Say, "I already decided, now I execute." Do not say, "I lost motivation." Say, "I never needed it." I have a system. This shift in language rewires how you think. Because now you stop waiting for feelings to change. You stop depending on external energy. You start depending on structure. And structure does not fail. Now here is the practical exercise. Choose one goal you have been inconsistent with. It could be exercise. It could be writing. It could be eating better. It could be learning a new skill. Do not try to motivate yourself. Build a system instead. Write down 3 things. First, when will you do it? Pick a specific time, not sometime in the morning, not when I have time, a specific hour. Second, where will you do it? Pick a specific place, not anywhere. One location that becomes tied to the action. Third, what is the smallest version of this action? Not the ideal version. The version you can do even on a terrible day. If the goal is exercise, the smallest version might be 10 push-ups. If the goal is writing, it might be 1 paragraph. If the goal is eating better, it might be 1 vegetable with dinner. Now you have a system. Same time, same place, small action. That is all you need to start. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel excited. You just need to follow the system. And the system will build the habit. The habit will build the identity. The identity will build the life. The reason systems work is because they create automaticity. The brain loves patterns. When you repeat the same action in the same context, the brain starts to recognize it as normal. It stops resisting, it stops questioning, it just does. That is when discipline becomes effortless, not because you are special, because the system trained your brain to expect the behavior. Most people fail because they try to rely on internal strength. They think they need to be tougher, more motivated, more driven, but the truth is you do not need to be stronger. You need to be smarter. You need to stop fighting yourself and start designing a life where the right actions happen automatically. Motivation will fail you. It will fade when life gets hard. It will disappear when you are tired. It will vanish when results are slow. But a system will not. A system does not care how you feel. It does not care if progress is visible, it just runs. And over time, that consistency compounds into something powerful. You do not need to feel motivated today. You need to follow the system. And if you do that enough times, motivation stops mattering. Because now you are someone who shows up regardless. That is not willpower, that is design. And design is something you control. Stop chasing motivation, start building systems. That is how disciplined lives are built. Chapter 3. Environment always beats. Intention. Sarah wanted to stop eating junk food. She told herself every morning that today would be different. She made a plan. She set an intention. She felt determined. But every evening, sitting on the couch after a long day, she opened the pantry and saw the chips. And without thinking, her hand reached for the bag. 5 minutes later, the bag was empty. And she felt defeated again. Not because she lacked willpower, but because her environment made the wrong choice easier than the right one. This is the truth most people ignore. Your environment is stronger than your intentions. You can have the best plan in the world. You can want change with everything in you. But if your environment is designed for failure, you will fail. Not because you are weak, because the environment shapes behavior more powerfully than any internal desire ever could. The psychological principle here is called environmental cueing. Your brain is constantly scanning the space around you for signals. When you see the bag of chips, your brain does not think about your goals. It thinks about the taste, the crunch, the habit. The sight of the chips is a cue, and that cue triggers a behavior. You do not consciously decide to eat them. The environment decides for you. And this happens hundreds of times a day. Every object you see, every space you enter, every sound you hear, they are all cues. And those cues drive your actions far more than your intentions do. If you want to change your behavior, you do not start with your mind. You start with your environment. You remove the cues that trigger bad habits. You add the cues that trigger good ones. You design your space so that the right choice is the obvious choice. This is not manipulation. This is strategy. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Someone wants to drink more water. Right now, they have to walk to the kitchen, open the cabinet, get a glass, fill it, and drink. That is 5 steps, 5 opportunities to forget or get distracted. Now imagine this. A full water bottle sits on their desk all day. Every time they look up, they see it. The cue is constant. The behavior becomes automatic. No decision needed. The environment did the work. Another example. Someone wants to stop wasting time on their phone. Right now, the phone sits on the nightstand. It is the first thing they see in the morning. It is the last thing they touch at night. The environment is screaming at them to check it. So they do. Now imagine this. The phone charges in another room. An alarm clock sits on the nightstand instead. A book is next to the alarm. In the morning, the first cue they see is the book. The behavior changes. Not because they became more disciplined, because the environment changed. This principle applies to everything. If you want to exercise more, put your workout clothes next to your bed. If you want to eat better, put healthy food at eye level in the fridge and junk food in the back or out of the house entirely. If you want to focus on deep work, remove everything from your desk except what you need for the task. Every visible object is either helping you or hurting you. There is no neutral. Here is the script you need when you are struggling with a habit. Do not say, "I need more discipline." Say, "I need to change my environment." Do not say, "I keep failing." Say, "My environment keeps winning." Do not say, "I will try harder." Say, "I will remove the obstacle." This shift is powerful because it removes shame. You stop blaming yourself. You start fixing the system, and the system is always fixable. Most people think they need to be stronger. But the truth is, you do not need to be strong enough to resist temptation. You need to be smart enough to remove it. Now here is the practical exercise. Walk through your home or workspace right now. Look at what is visible, what is within reach. What do you see first when you enter a room? Write down every object that cues a behavior you want to stop. Then remove it or hide it. Next, write down every object that cues a behavior you want to start. Then place it somewhere visible. If you want to stop snacking, remove snacks from the counter. Put fruit in a bowl where you can see it. If you want to stop scrolling, delete social media apps or put your phone in a drawer. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to practice gratitude, put a journal next to your coffee maker. Small changes in environment create massive changes in behavior. The reason this works is because your brain is designed to conserve energy. It does not want to think, it wants to react. When the environment presents an easy option, the brain takes it. So if the easy option is junk food, you eat junk food. If the easy option is scrolling, you scroll. But if you redesign the environment so the easy option is the healthy choice, your brain will take that instead. Not because you are more disciplined, because the path of least resistance changed. People underestimate how much their surroundings control them. They think they are making conscious choices all day. But most behavior is automatic. You walk into the kitchen and open the fridge without thinking. You sit on the couch and reach for the remote without deciding. You pick up your phone and start scrolling before you even realize it. These are not choices, these are environmental responses, and if you want different outcomes, you need different environments. Think about people who seem naturally disciplined. They wake up early, they eat clean, they stay focused. It looks effortless, but it is not effortless, it is environmental. Their alarm is across the room, so they have to get up. Their kitchen has no junk food, so they eat what is available. Their workspace has no distractions, so they stay on task. They did not build more willpower, they built better environments. You can do the same. You do not need to be superhuman. You need to be intentional. Look at your life right now. What environments are you spending time in? What do those environments encourage? Are they supporting the person you want to become or the person you are trying to stop being? If the environment is not aligned with your goals will not happen. It is that simple. Environment always beats intention. You can want to change. You can plan to change. But if your environment stays the same, you will stay the same. The couch will still pull you toward rest. The pantry will still tempt you. The phone will still distract you. Not because you are weak, because the environment is designed to win. So stop fighting yourself, start designing your space, make the right choice, the easy choice. Remove the friction from good habits. Add friction to bad ones. That is how you build discipline without relying on willpower. That is how you create a life where the default option is progress, Your environment is either working for you or against you. There is no in between. And the moment you take control of it, everything changes. Chapter 4. The Hidden Cost of Decision Fatigue. Daniel was a software engineer, smart, capable, organized. Every morning he woke up ready to tackle his goals. But by the end of the day, he was mentally exhausted, not from his actual work. From the hundreds of tiny decisions he made before the work even started. What to wear, what to eat for breakfast, which route to take, which email to answer first, whether to check his phone, whether to make coffee now or later. By the time he sat down to focus on what mattered, his brain was already drained, and the important work never got done. This is decision fatigue, and it is silently destroying your ability to stay disciplined. Every decision you make, no matter how small, uses mental energy. And once that energy is depleted, your ability to make good choices collapses. You stop choosing what is best. You start choosing what is easiest. That is why you can start the day strong and end it weak. Not because you lost motivation, because you ran out of decision-making fuel. The psychological mechanism is simple but brutal. Your brain has a limited capacity for self-control. Researchers call it ego depletion. Every time you resist temptation, make a choice, or exert willpower, you draw from the same mental reservoir. And when that reservoir empties, you are left vulnerable. You become impulsive. You give in to distractions. You abandon your plan. Not because you are undisciplined, because your brain is exhausted. This is why people who seem disciplined all day suddenly collapse at night. They ate healthy all day, then binged at midnight. They stayed focused all morning, then scrolled for 3 hours in the evening. They resisted every distraction, then gave in to the last one. The pattern is predictable, because decision fatigue does not care how strong you started. It only cares how many decisions you made along the way. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone is trying to eat healthier. Every meal becomes a decision. Should I eat this or that? Should I have a snack? Should I skip dessert? Should I cook or order? By the end of the day, they are standing in front of the fridge, mentally exhausted, and they eat whatever is easiest. Not because they do not care, because they do not have the energy left to care. Now imagine this instead. They meal prep on Sunday. Every meal for the week is already decided and prepared. Monday morning, there is no choice. Breakfast is in the fridge. Lunch is packed. Dinner is planned. The only decision left is whether to follow the system, and following is always easier than deciding. The result is consistency, not because they have more willpower, because they removed the need for willpower. Another example, someone wants to write every day. Right now, they wake up and ask themselves, should I write now or later? What should I write about? Where should I sit? Should I make coffee first? Should I check email? By the time they finish deciding, the moment is gone. Now imagine this. They write at 6 every morning. Same desk, same document already open, same coffee made the night before in a timer pot. There is no decision. The system runs. The writing happens. Decision fatigue never enters the equation. This is the shift. You do not build discipline by making better decisions. You build it by making fewer decisions. You automate everything that does not matter so you can save your mental energy for what does. The fewer choices you face, the stronger your focus remains. The stronger your focus, the more consistent your actions. The more consistent your actions, the more disciplined your life becomes. Here is the script you need when you feel your willpower fading. Do not say, I will try harder tomorrow. Say, I will remove decisions today. Do not say, I need more discipline. Say, I need fewer choices. Do not say, I failed again. Say, I made too many decisions before the one that mattered. This reframe is critical, because when you understand that decision fatigue is the enemy, you stop fighting yourself. You stop thinking you are weak. You start thinking strategically. And strategy always wins. Now here is the practical exercise. Identify the 3 areas of your life where you make the most unnecessary decisions. It could be what to wear, what to eat, when to work, what to do in the evening. Pick one area and eliminate the decisions for the next week. If it is clothing, choose your outfits on Sunday and lay them out. If it is food, meal prep, or create a simple menu you repeat. If it is work, set a fixed schedule for your most important task and do not deviate. If it is evenings, create a shutdown routine that removes choice. Phone goes in the drawer, book comes out, lights off at the same time, no decisions. Just structure. You will notice something within days. You feel less drained. You have more energy for what matters. You stop negotiating with yourself. The mental load lightens, and suddenly discipline does not feel hard anymore. It feels automatic. Because the decisions that used to exhaust you no longer exist. The reason this works is because decision-making and self-control use the same mental resource. When you waste that resource on trivial choices, you have nothing left for the meaningful ones. But when you protect that resource by automating the trivial, you have everything you need for what counts. That is why successful people often wear the same thing every day. That is why they eat the same breakfast. That is why they follow routines that look boring from the outside. It is not about lacking creativity. It is about preserving energy for decisions that matter. Think about the most disciplined person you know. Chances are their life is structured, not chaotic, not spontaneous, structured. They do not wake up and wonder what to do. They already know. They do not stand in front of the closet debating. They already decided. They do not sit down to work and scroll first. The work starts at a set time. This is not rigidity, this is protection. Protection from decision fatigue. You can build the same protection. You do not need to control every minute of your day. You just need to control the decisions that drain you. Automate breakfast. Automate your morning routine. Automate when you work and when you rest. Automate what you do when you feel tempted. The more you automate, the less you have to decide. The less you decide, the more energy you keep. The more energy you keep, the stronger you stay. Decision fatigue is invisible. You do not feel it happening. You just feel tired, unfocused, weak, and you blame yourself. But the problem is not you. The problem is the mental load. And the load is something you can reduce. Here is the truth. Every decision is a tax on your willpower. And if you are making 100 decisions before noon, you are bankrupt by the afternoon. But if you cut those decisions down to 10, you still have energy left when it counts. That energy is what allows you to stay disciplined. That energy is what carries you through. Stop trying to make better decisions all day. Start making fewer decisions. Automate the small stuff. Protect your mental energy. Save it for the moments that move your life forward. That is how you stay strong from morning to night. That is how you avoid the collapse. That is how you build a disciplined life without burning out. Decision fatigue is real, but it is also preventable. And starting today, you will prevent it. Chapter 5. How Identity Locks Discipline. In place, James tried every diet, every workout plan, every productivity system. He would start strong, follow the rules for a week or two, then fall back into old patterns. He could not understand why. He had the knowledge, he had the plan, he even had the motivation at the start, but nothing stuck. The reason was simple. James was trying to change his actions without changing his identity. He wanted to act like a disciplined person, but deep down, he still saw himself as someone who starts things and does not finish them. And your actions will always align with how you see yourself. This is the missing piece most people ignore. Discipline is not just about what you do. It is about who you believe you are. If your identity does not match your goals will fail. You can force yourself to act differently for a short time, but eventually you will return to behavior that matches your self-image. If you see yourself as lazy, you will act lazy. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you will act undisciplined, not because you want to, because your brain is wired to keep your behavior consistent with your identity. The psychological mechanism here is called identity-based behavior. Your brain uses your sense of self as a filter for decision-making. Every time you face a choice, your brain asks, "What would someone like me do in this situation?" If your identity says I am not a morning person, you will hit snooze. If your identity says I am not good with money, you will overspend. If your identity says I always quit, you will quit. The identity comes first. The behavior follows. This is why willpower fails. You are not just fighting a habit. You are fighting your sense of self, and your sense of self is one of the most powerful forces in your psychology. It shapes everything: how you talk, how you think, how you react, and most importantly, what you believe is possible for you. If you do not change the identity, the behavior will never last. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone wants to become a runner. Right now, they see themselves as someone who does not exercise. So when the alarm goes off at 6 in the morning, their brain says, "This is not who I am." And they stay in bed. The action does not match the identity, so the identity wins. Now imagine they start small. They put on running shoes and walk around the block. Just once. Then they say to themselves, "I am someone who moves their body in the morning." They do it again the next day. After a week, the identity starts to shift. After a month, they are not trying to become a runner. They are a runner. The identity changed, and now the behavior is automatic because it matches who they are. Another example, someone wants to stop procrastinating. Right now, their identity is, "I always wait until the last minute. That is how I work." So even when they try to start early, it feels uncomfortable. It does not match their self-image. The identity pulls them back to procrastination. Now imagine they start finishing small tasks immediately. One email, one page, one phone call. And after each one, they say, "I am someone who handles things right away." Over time, that identity becomes real, and procrastination fades. Not because they developed more willpower, because their identity no longer supports delay. This is the key. You do not change by doing something once. You change by doing something enough times that it becomes evidence of who you are. Every action you take is a vote for a type of identity. If you go to the gym once, you voted for being healthy. If you go 50 times, you are now someone who works out. The identity solidifies. And once it solidifies, the behavior becomes effortless. You do not have to convince yourself to go. You just go. Because that is who you are. Here is the script you need when you are building a new habit. Do not say, "I want to be disciplined." Say, "I am someone who follows through." Do not say, "I am trying to eat better." Say, "I am someone who takes care of their body." Do not say, "I need to focus more." Say, "I am someone who protects their attention." The shift from wanting to being is everything. Because your brain listens to how you describe yourself, and it will shape your behavior to match. Now here is the practical exercise. Choose one behavior you want to build. It could be working out, writing, eating healthy, staying focused, saving money. Whatever it is, write down the identity that matches that behavior, not the action, the identity. If the behavior is working out, the identity is, "I am someone who moves their body daily." If the behavior is writing, the identity is, "I am a writer." If the behavior is saving money, the identity is, "I am financially responsible." Now every time you do that behavior, no matter how small, say the identity out loud. "I am someone who moves their body. I am a writer. I am financially responsible." Do this every single time. The repetition rewires your brain. The identity becomes real, And once the identity is real, the behavior follows without effort. The reason this works is because identity is self-reinforcing. Once you believe you are a certain type of person, you will act in ways that confirm that belief. If you believe you are disciplined, you will do disciplined things. Not to prove it to others, to prove it to yourself. Your brain wants to be consistent. It does not like contradiction. So when your identity says, "I am disciplined," your brain will push you toward disciplined actions to maintain that consistency. Most people try to change from the outside in. They change their actions and hope their identity will follow. But that rarely works. Because the identity is stronger, it pulls you back. The better approach is to change from the inside out. Change the identity first. Then the actions become natural. You are not forcing yourself to act like someone you are not. You are acting like someone you are. Think about people who seem effortlessly disciplined. They do not struggle. They do not fight themselves. They just do what needs to be done. That is not because they have more willpower. It is because their identity supports the behavior. They see themselves as disciplined, so discipline is not a battle. It is just who they are. You can build the same thing, but it starts with how you see yourself. Right now, take a moment and ask yourself this question. Who do I believe I am? Not who do I want to be. Who do I believe I am right now? If the answer does not match the life you want, that is the problem. That is what needs to change. And you change it through small, repeated actions that serve as evidence. Every time you do the thing, you prove to yourself that you are that person. And proof is what shifts identity. You do not need to change everything at once. You just need to change one behavior and tie it to identity. Do it enough times that it becomes undeniable. Once that identity locks in, the behavior is no longer hard. It is automatic. And that is when discipline becomes permanent. Identity is the lock. Behavior is the key. But you have to use the key enough times for the lock to stay closed. One action is not enough. 10 might not be enough, but 50 will be. 100 will be. And at some point you will stop trying to be disciplined. You will just be disciplined. Because that is who you are. Stop trying to act like someone else. Start becoming the person your actions prove you are. That is how identity locks discipline in place. That is how change becomes permanent. And that is how you stop relying on motivation and start living from a place of internal alignment. You are not trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You are not trying to be focused. You are focused. You are not trying to be consistent. You are consistent. Say it, believe it, prove it, and watch your life change. Chapter 6. Removing friction. Instead of forcing action. Nina wanted to meditate every morning. She read about the benefits. She downloaded an app. She set a reminder. But every morning when the reminder went off, she ignored it. She told herself she would do it later. Later never came. She thought the problem was her commitment, but the real problem was friction. To meditate, she had to find a quiet spot. Move things off the chair. Open the app. Choose a session. By the time she thought through all those steps, the moment was gone. The friction was too high, and high friction kills action. This is the principle most people miss. You do not need to force yourself to do hard things. You need to make hard things easier to start. Discipline is not about pushing through resistance every single time. It is about removing the resistance so there is nothing to push through. The less friction between you and the behavior, the more likely the behavior will happen. The more friction, the more willpower you need. And willpower, as we know, is limited. The psychological mechanism here is called activation energy. Every behavior requires a certain amount of effort to begin. If that effort is high, the behavior does not happen. If that effort is low, the behavior becomes automatic. Your brain is constantly calculating whether something is worth the effort. If the answer is no, You delay. If the answer is yes, you act. So the goal is not to become someone who can overcome any amount of friction. The goal is to reduce friction so much that action becomes the path of least resistance. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone wants to go to the gym after work. Right now, they have to drive home, change clothes, pack a bag, drive to the gym, find parking, check in, and then start working out. That is 7 steps, 7 opportunities to quit. By the time they get home and sit on the couch, the friction is too high. They stay home. Now imagine this instead. They pack their gym bag the night before and leave it in the car. They change into gym clothes before leaving work. They drive straight to the gym without going home. Now there are 2 steps. Drive and work out. The friction dropped from 7 to 2. The behavior becomes exponentially easier. Not because they became more motivated, because they removed the barriers. Another example, someone wants to eat healthier. Right now, healthy food requires washing, chopping, cooking, and cleaning. Junk food requires opening a bag. The friction for healthy eating is high. The friction for junk food is 0. So junk food wins. Now imagine this. On Sunday, they wash and chop all vegetables. They cook meals in bulk and store them in containers. During the week, eating healthy requires the same effort as eating junk. Open container. Eat. The friction is equal. Now the choice is fair. And when the choice is fair, the better option wins. This is the shift. Stop trying to build more willpower. Start removing more friction. Every extra step is a decision point. Every decision point is a place where you can fail. So you eliminate the steps. You automate the setup. You make the start so easy that not doing it feels harder than doing it. Here is the script you need when you are avoiding a task. Do not say, "I will do it later." Say, "What friction is stopping me right now?" Do not say, "I need to push harder." Say, "I need to make this easier to start." Do not say, "I failed again." Say, "The friction was too high. Now I will lower it." This reframe is powerful because it removes self-blame. You stop thinking you are lazy. You start thinking strategically. And strategy is what makes discipline sustainable. Now here is the practical exercise. Pick one behavior you have been avoiding. Write down every single step required to start that behavior. Be specific. If the behavior is exercising, the steps might be: find workout clothes, change, tie shoes, leave the house, drive to the gym, check in, choose a machine. Count them. Now ask yourself, which of these steps can I do in advance? Which can I eliminate entirely? Which can I simplify? For exercise, you could lay out clothes the night before. You could sleep in workout clothes. You could keep a gym bag packed in the car. You could work out at home to remove the drive. You could choose a 10-minute workout instead of an hour to remove the time barrier. Every step you remove is friction gone. Every piece of friction gone is discipline gained. The reason this works is because your brain is wired for efficiency. It does not want to work harder than necessary. So when a behavior requires high effort, the brain avoids it. But when a behavior requires low effort, the brain accepts it. You are not fighting biology. You are working with it. You are designing your life so that the behaviors you want are the ones that feel easiest. Most people think discipline is about doing hard things. But disciplined people do not do harder things. They make things less hard. They remove obstacles before obstacles become excuses. They prepare in advance. They simplify the process. They eliminate unnecessary steps. And because of that, they follow through. Not because they are stronger, because their path is smoother. Think about any habit you do automatically. Brushing your teeth, making coffee, checking your phone. Why do these happen without effort? Because the friction is 0. The toothbrush is by the sink. The coffee maker is on the counter. The phone is in your pocket. You do not have to think. You do not have to prepare. You just do. That is the level of friction you need for any behavior you want to build. If it requires thought, it requires willpower. If it requires willpower, it will eventually fail. So the question is not how do I build more discipline? The question is how do I remove more friction? And the answer is always the same. Prepare in advance. Simplify the process. Eliminate the barriers. Make the first step so small and so easy that starting feels effortless. Here is another layer. You can also add friction to behaviors you want to stop. If you want to stop checking your phone, put it in another room. Add a passcode you have to type every time. Delete distracting apps. Log out of accounts so you have to log back in. Every extra step makes the behavior less likely. Now the friction is working for you instead of against you. You are using the same principle in reverse. High friction stops bad habits. Low friction builds good ones. This is not about tricking yourself. This is about respecting how your brain works. Your brain does not care about your goals. It cares about efficiency. So you make the efficient choice the right choice. You stack the environment in your favor. You remove every unnecessary step. You make discipline the default. Right now, look at the behavior you want to build. Ask yourself, what is stopping me from starting? Is it time? Is it complexity? Is it location? Is it preparation? Whatever it is, that is the friction. And friction is always solvable. You do not need more motivation. You need less resistance. Someone once said that the best way to build a habit is to make it so easy you cannot say no. That is the truth. If the barrier is low enough, the behavior happens. If the barrier is high, the behavior does not. It is that simple. So stop raising the bar for yourself. Lower it. Make it so easy that doing it feels easier than not doing it. Discipline is not about forcing action. It is about removing friction. And the moment you start removing friction, everything changes. The habits you struggled with for years suddenly become easy. Not because you changed, because the path changed. And the path is something you control. Remove the friction. Watch the discipline follow. Chapter 7. Time control without time management. Victor felt overwhelmed every single day. He had a calendar filled with tasks. He used apps. He set reminders. He planned his hours down to the minute, but by the end of each day, he felt like he had accomplished nothing. He was busy but not productive. He was managing his time, but he was not controlling it. And there is a massive difference between the two. Time management is about organizing tasks. Time control is about protecting priorities. Time management asks, how can I fit everything in? Time control asks what actually matters. Most people spend their lives trying to do more, but disciplined people spend their lives doing less. Less of what drains them, less of what distracts them, less of what does not move them forward. They do not manage time, they guard it. The psychological mechanism here is called priority dilution. When everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Your brain cannot focus on 10 things at once. It can only focus on one. But when your day is packed with 30 tasks, your brain scatters. It jumps from one thing to another. It never goes deep. It never builds momentum. And at the end of the day, you are exhausted, but nothing meaningful got done. You were managing time, but you were not controlling it. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone has a list of 20 tasks for the day. They start the first one. Then an email comes in. They stop and respond. Then a message pops up. They check it. Then they remember something else they need to do. They switch tasks. By the end of the day, they touched 15 things but finished none. They were busy all day, but they made no real progress. Now imagine this instead. They identify the one task that matters most. They block 2 hours in the morning. They turn off notifications. They close all tabs except the one they need. They work on that one thing until it is done. Then they move to the next, By the end of the day, the most important work is complete. They did less, but they accomplished more. This is time control. You do not try to do everything. You choose what matters and protect it with absolute focus. Everything else can wait. Everything else is noise, and noise does not deserve your time. Another example. Someone wants to write a book. Right now, they squeeze writing into random gaps in their day. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But they never build momentum. The work feels hard because it is fragmented. Now imagine this. They block 6 to 8 every morning. No meetings, no calls, no distractions, just writing. That block is sacred. It does not move, it does not shrink, it is protected. In 3 months, the book is done. Not because they had more time, because they controlled the time they had. This is the shift. Stop trying to manage every minute. Start protecting the minutes that matter. Most of your day does not matter. Most tasks are not urgent. Most meetings could be emails. Most distractions are optional. But you treat everything like it is equally important. So nothing gets the focus it needs. Time control means saying no to everything that does not serve your priority. It means creating blocks of uninterrupted time where deep work happens. It means treating your focus like a finite resource and spending it only on what moves your life forward. Here is the script you need when your time feels out of control. Do not say, "I do not have enough time." Say, "I am not protecting my time." Do not say, "I need to manage my time better." Say, "I need to control my priorities better." Do not say, "I am too busy." Say, "I am doing too many things that do not matter." This reframe is critical, because time is not the problem. Priority is. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. The difference is how you use them, and most people use them reacting to other people's priorities instead of protecting their own. Now here is the practical exercise. Open your calendar or look at your typical day. Write down every task you did yesterday. Now divide them into 2 categories: tasks that moved your life forward, tasks that did not. Be honest. Most of what you did probably falls into the second category. Emails that did not matter, meetings that could have been skipped, distractions you entertained. Tasks you did just because they were on a list. Now identify the one task that, if completed, would have made yesterday a success. Just one. That is your priority. Tomorrow, block 2 hours for that one task. Put it in the morning when your energy is highest. Protect that block like your life depends on it. No email, no phone, no interruptions. Just that one task. Do this every day for a week. You will accomplish more in those 7 blocks than most people accomplish in a month. The reason this works is because deep focus creates exponential results. 1 hour of uninterrupted work is worth more than 4 hours of distracted work. Your brain needs time to settle into a task. It needs time to build momentum. When you constantly switch between tasks, you never reach that state. You stay on the surface. You produce shallow work. But when you protect a block of time and go deep, you produce work that matters. Work that lasts. Work that moves things forward. Most people confuse activity with achievement. They feel productive because they are busy. But busy does not mean effective. You can spend all day doing things and still make no progress on what matters. Time control is about rejecting busyness. It is about choosing effectiveness. It is about doing less but doing it with full focus. Think about the most productive people you know. They do not do more things. They do fewer things better. They do not fill their calendar. They guard their calendar. They do not say yes to everything. They say no to almost everything. And because of that, they have time for what matters. They have space to think. They have energy to focus. That is not luck. That is time control. You can build the same thing. But it requires a shift in mindset. Stop seeing time as something to fill. Start seeing it as something to protect. Stop trying to do everything. Start doing what matters. Stop reacting to the urgent. Start focusing on the important. Urgent tasks scream for attention. Important tasks sit quietly and wait, and most people spend their lives chasing the urgent while the important never gets done. Here is the truth. If you do not control your time, someone else will. Your boss will fill it with meetings. Your phone will fill it with notifications. Your inbox will fill it with tasks. And at the end of the day, you will wonder where your time went. It went to everyone else's priorities, not yours. So starting today, protect your time like it is your most valuable asset. Because it is. You cannot buy more. You cannot save it. You can only spend it. And the question is, are you spending it on what matters, or are you letting it drain into tasks that do not? Time control is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters with full attention. Block the time. Protect the block. Eliminate the noise. Focus on the priority. That is how disciplined lives are built, not by managing every minute, but by controlling the minutes that count. Stop managing time. Start controlling it. Chapter 8. Building Non-Negotiable Daily Structures. Elena was tired of starting over. Every Monday she promised herself this week would be different. She made plans. She set goals. She felt motivated. But by Wednesday the structure fell apart. She slept in. She skipped the gym. She worked when she felt like it and avoided what was hard. By Friday she was back where she started. The problem was not her intentions. The problem was that nothing in her life was non-negotiable. Everything was optional. And when everything is optional, nothing gets done. This is the core issue most people face. They treat discipline like a suggestion. They say they will do something, but they leave room for negotiation. They tell themselves they will work out unless they are too tired. They will eat healthy unless they are stressed. They will focus unless something more interesting comes up. But discipline does not work that way. Discipline requires structure, and structure requires rules that do not bend. The psychological mechanism here is called implementation intention. Your brain performs better when it knows exactly what to do and when to do it. Vague goals create vague results, but specific structures create automatic behavior. When you build a non-negotiable daily structure, you remove the need to decide. You remove the room for negotiation. You create a framework that runs whether you feel like it or not. And that framework is what separates people who stay consistent from people who keep restarting. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone wants to get in shape. Right now, their plan is to work out when they have time. But they never have time. Or they have time, but they do not feel like it. So the workout does not happen. Now imagine this instead. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 in the morning they work out. No exceptions, not if they are tired, not if it is cold, not if they had a bad night. 6 in the morning, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The structure is non-negotiable. After 4 weeks, the body adapts. The mind stops resisting. The behavior becomes automatic. Not because they are more motivated, because the structure does not allow failure. Another example, someone wants to build a business. Right now, they work on it when inspiration hits. Sometimes that is 3 hours a week. Sometimes it is 0. Progress is slow because effort is inconsistent. Now imagine this. Every day from 5 to 7 in the morning, they work on the business. No email, no distractions, just 2 hours of deep work. That block is sacred. It does not move. It does not shrink. In 6 months, they have built more than most people build in 2 years. Not because they had more time, because they protected the time they had with a non-negotiable structure. This is the shift. Stop treating your priorities like options. Start treating them like obligations. You do not negotiate with sleep. You do not negotiate with breathing. You do not negotiate with eating. These things happen because they are non-negotiable. Your priorities need the same treatment. If something matters, it gets a fixed place in your day. And that place does not move. Here is the script you need when you are tempted to skip. Do not say, "I will do it later." Say, "This is non-negotiable." Do not say, "I do not feel like it." Say, "My structure does not care how I feel." Do not say, "I will start again Monday." Say, "The structure runs today." No exceptions. This language is critical. Because every time you negotiate, you weaken the structure. Every time you make an exception, you create a crack. And cracks turn into collapse. But when you hold the line, when you refuse to negotiate, the structure becomes stronger. And the stronger the structure, the easier discipline becomes. Now here is the practical exercise. Identify the 3 most important behaviors in your life right now. These are the behaviors that, if done consistently, would change everything. It could be exercise. It could be focused work. It could be reading. It could be planning your day. Whatever they are, write them down. Now assign each behavior a specific time and a specific duration. Not when I have time, a specific hour. Not for as long as I can, a specific duration. If the behavior is exercise, it might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 in the morning for 30 minutes. If the behavior is focused work, it might be 5 to 7 every morning for 2 hours. If the behavior is reading, it might be 8 to 8:30 every night for 30 minutes. Write it down. Now commit to it for 30 days. No exceptions, no negotiations, no skipping. The reason this works is because the brain craves predictability. When you do the same thing at the same time every day, the brain stops fighting it. It stops asking if you should do it. It just does it. The behavior becomes part of your routine. And routines do not require willpower, they require structure. And structure is what you are building. Most people fail because they leave too much room for choice. They say they will work out sometime this week. They say they will eat healthy when they can. They say they will focus when they feel like it. But choice is the enemy of consistency. Every time you have to choose, you create an opportunity to fail. So you remove the choice. You build a structure that decides for you. And once the structure is in place, all you have to do is follow it. Think about people who seem disciplined without effort. They wake up at the same time. They eat the same meals. They work at the same hours. They follow the same routines. It looks boring from the outside, but from the inside it is freedom. Freedom from decision fatigue. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from wondering if they will follow through. The structure handles it. They just execute. You can build the same thing, but it requires commitment. Not just for a day, not just when you feel like it. Every single day, non-negotiable. That is the standard. And when you hold that standard, everything changes. You stop relying on motivation. You stop making excuses. You stop restarting every week. You just follow the structure. And the structure carries you forward. Here is the truth. Discipline is not about doing hard things once. It is about doing necessary things consistently. And consistency only happens when the behavior is locked into a structure that does not bend. You do not negotiate with your morning alarm. You do not negotiate with your work schedule. You do not negotiate with your commitments to others. So why do you negotiate with commitments to yourself? Starting today, stop. Build a structure. Make it non-negotiable. Follow it every day. No exceptions, no excuses, no negotiations. That is how disciplined lives are built. Not through motivation, not through willpower, through structure. And structure is something you control. The structure does not care if you are tired. It does not care if you are busy. It does not care if you do not feel like it. It just runs. And when it runs long enough, it becomes who you are. You are no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You are someone who lives inside a structure that makes discipline automatic. That is the goal. That is the standard. And starting today, that is how you will live. Chapter 9. Stress Proof. Discipline in real life chaos. Omar had a solid routine. He woke up early, he exercised, he ate well, he worked with focus. Everything ran smoothly until it did not. His child got sick. A project deadline moved up. His car broke down. Within 2 days, the routine collapsed. He stopped exercising. He ate whatever was fast. He worked in reactive mode, and within a week, he felt like he had lost all progress. The problem was not that life got hard. The problem was that his discipline only worked when life was easy. This is where most people break. They build discipline in perfect conditions. Then the moment chaos hits, everything falls apart. They tell themselves they will get back on track when things calm down. But things never fully calm down. Life is chaotic by nature. And if your discipline only works when everything is smooth, it is not real discipline. Real discipline is stress-proof. It bends but does not break. It adapts but does not disappear. It survives the chaos. The psychological mechanism here is called contingency planning. Your brain needs a backup plan. When your default routine fails and you have no alternative, you default to old habits. You stop exercising because you cannot do your full workout. You stop eating healthy because you cannot cook the meal you planned. You stop working with focus because your environment is disrupted. But if you have a minimum viable version of your routine, something you can do even in chaos, you stay consistent. Not perfect, but consistent. And consistency is what matters. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone has a 1-hour morning workout routine. When life is calm, they do the full hour. But when life gets chaotic, they skip it entirely because they do not have a full hour. Now imagine this instead. They have 3 versions of their routine. The ideal version is 1 hour. The minimum version is 10 minutes. The chaos version is 5 minutes of movement. Anything. Push-ups, stretches, a walk around the block. When chaos hits, they do not skip. They do the chaos version. The habit stays alive. The identity stays intact. And when life calms down, they scale back up. Another example. Someone eats healthy meals they prep on Sunday. But one week they do not have time to prep, so they eat junk food all week. Now imagine this instead. They have a chaos meal plan. Rotisserie chicken and bagged salad, canned beans and frozen vegetables, protein bars and fruit. Not ideal, but better than junk. When chaos hits, they do not abandon the goal. They downgrade to the chaos version. The behavior continues. The progress holds. This is the shift. Stop thinking in terms of all or nothing. Start thinking in terms of tiers. Ideal, minimum, chaos. When life is smooth, you do ideal. When life gets busy, you do minimum. When life explodes, you do chaos. But you never do nothing, because nothing breaks the chain. And once the chain breaks, it is harder to restart than to maintain. Here is the script you need when chaos hits. Do not say, I cannot do my routine, so I will skip it. Say, I cannot do my full routine, so I will do the minimum. Do not say, I will start again when things calm down. Say, I will do what I can right now. Do not say, I failed because I could not do it perfectly. Say, I succeeded because I did something. This reframe is everything. Because perfectionism kills discipline. You think if you cannot do it right, you should not do it at all. But that is the mindset that leads to quitting. The better mindset is this. Something is always better than nothing, and something keeps the habit alive. Now here is the practical exercise. Take the 3 most important habits in your life. For each one, create 3 versions. The ideal version, the minimum version, the chaos version. Write them down. If the habit is exercise, the ideal version might be a 1-hour gym session. The minimum version might be a 20-minute home workout. The chaos version might be 10 push-ups and 10 squats. If the habit is healthy eating, the ideal version might be home-cooked meals. The minimum version might be a simple protein and vegetable. The chaos version might be a protein bar and a piece of fruit. If the habit is focused work, the ideal version might be 2 hours of deep work. The minimum version might be 30 minutes. The chaos version might be 10 minutes of progress on the most important task. Now commit to this rule. When life is calm, do ideal. When life gets busy, do minimum. When life is chaos, do chaos, but never do nothing. The chain does not break. The habit stays alive. And when chaos passes, you have not lost ground. You held the line. The reason this works is because your brain tracks patterns. If you exercise every day, even if it is just 5 minutes on the hard days, your brain sees you as someone who exercises daily. The identity holds. But if you skip entirely, your brain sees you as someone who quits when things get hard. The identity weakens. And once the identity weakens, the behavior becomes harder to maintain. Most people think discipline is about doing the same thing every day no matter what. But that is rigid, and rigid things break under pressure. Real discipline is flexible. It adapts. It scales. It survives. You do not abandon the behavior. You adjust the intensity. You keep showing up. Even if the version you show up with is smaller. Because showing up is what matters. Think about people who stay consistent for years. They do not have perfect lives. They face the same chaos everyone else does. But they do not use chaos as an excuse to quit. They scale down. They simplify. They do what they can. And because they never fully stop, they never have to restart. They just keep going. Slower sometimes, smaller sometimes, but always moving. You can do the same, but it requires letting go of perfection. It requires accepting that some days the minimum is enough. It requires understanding that the goal is not to do everything perfectly. The goal is to not break the chain, because the chain is what builds the life. Here is the truth. Chaos will come. Stress will hit. Life will disrupt your routine. That is guaranteed. The question is not, will chaos happen? The question is, will you survive it? And the answer depends on whether you have a plan for it. If your only plan is the ideal version, you will break. But if you have a chaos version, you will bend. And bending is how you stay strong. Right now, before chaos hits, build your tiers. Know what you will do when you do not have time. Know what you will do when you are exhausted. Know what you will do when everything falls apart. Write it down. Make it specific. Make it so small that you cannot say no. And when chaos comes, you will not panic. You will not quit. You will just switch to the chaos version. And you will keep going. Discipline is not about being perfect in perfect conditions. It is about being consistent in imperfect ones. It is about surviving the storm. It is about holding the line when everything around you is falling apart. That is where real discipline is proven, not when life is easy, when life is hard. Build the tiers, know the plan. When chaos hits, execute. Do not stop, do not quit. Just scale down and keep moving. That is how you stress-proof your discipline. That is how you make it real. And that is how you ensure that no matter what life throws at you, you do not break. You bend. You adapt. But you do not stop. Chapter 10. Making discipline automatic and boring. Anita used to rely on excitement to stay disciplined. She would get inspired by a video, start a new routine, feel amazing for a few days, then burn out. She chased the feeling. She chased the newness. And every time the excitement faded, so did her discipline. She thought the problem was that she was not passionate enough. But the real problem was that she expected discipline to feel exciting. And discipline, when done right, is not exciting. It is boring. And boring is exactly what makes it sustainable. This is the final shift most people never make. They think discipline should feel powerful. They think it should feel motivating. They think every day should feel like progress. But that is not how discipline works. Discipline is doing the same thing over and over again, even when it stops feeling like anything. It is waking up at the same time. eating the same meals, following the same routine, day after day, week after week, month after month. It is not glamorous, it is not inspiring, it is repetitive, and repetition is what makes it automatic. The psychological mechanism here is called habituation. When you repeat a behavior in the same context enough times, the brain stops treating it as a decision. It becomes a reflex. You do not think about brushing your teeth. You do not debate whether to make coffee. You do not motivate yourself to get dressed. These behaviors happen automatically because you have done them thousands of times. The same principle applies to any behavior. If you repeat it consistently in the same way, it becomes automatic. But most people quit before they reach that point. They quit when it gets boring. And that is exactly when the magic starts. Here is what this looks like in real life. Someone starts running. The first week is exciting. They feel strong. They feel motivated. The second week is harder, but they push through. The third week feels repetitive. The fourth week feels boring. And this is where most people stop. They think if it feels boring, they are doing it wrong. But boring means the brain is adapting. Boring means the behavior is becoming automatic. Boring is the sign that discipline is working. Now imagine this instead. They accept the boredom. They stop chasing the feeling. They just run at the same time every day. Same route, same pace, no variety, no excitement, just repetition. After 3 months, running is no longer a decision. It is just what they do at 6 in the morning. The brain expects it. The body responds. The behavior is automatic. And once it is automatic, it requires no willpower. It just happens. Another example, someone wants to write every day. The first few days feel creative. They feel inspired. Then the inspiration fades. The writing feels forced. The words do not flow. And they stop. Now imagine this instead. They write at the same time every day. Same desk, same document, whether they feel inspired or not. Some days the writing is good, some days it is terrible, but they write anyway. After 2 months, sitting down to write feels as natural as sitting down to eat. The behavior is locked in. The brain does not resist, it just writes. This is the shift. Stop chasing inspiration, stop chasing variety, stop chasing the feeling. Just repeat. Same time, same place, same behavior over and over. Until it becomes so boring that your brain stops noticing. And when your brain stops noticing, the behavior becomes automatic. And automatic behavior does not require discipline. It just runs. Here's the script you need when discipline starts to feel boring. Do not say this is not working anymore. Say this is working exactly as it should. Do not say I need to change things up. Say I need to keep repeating until it is automatic. Do not say I am not motivated. Say I do not need motivation. I have a system. This language is critical. Because boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the signal that you are close to making the behavior automatic. And automatic is the goal. Not exciting, not inspiring. Automatic. Because automatic does not fail. Now here is the practical exercise. Look at your current routines. Identify the ones that feel boring, the ones that no longer excite you, the ones you are tempted to change just to feel something new. Do not change them. Commit to repeating them for 30 more days. Exact same time, exact same process. No variation, no novelty, just repetition. After 30 days, notice how the behavior feels. It will feel easier. It will feel natural. It will feel like it is just part of your day. That is automaticity. That is the goal. And once you reach it, you can add the next behavior. But do not add it until the first one is automatic. Because if you chase too many things at once, none of them become automatic. You stay in the excitement phase. And the excitement phase does not build discipline. The boring phase does. The reason this works is because the brain is a pattern recognition machine. When it sees the same behavior in the same context repeatedly, It creates a neural pathway. The more you repeat, the stronger the pathway. The stronger the pathway, the less effort the behavior requires. Eventually, the pathway is so strong that the behavior happens without thought. That is when discipline becomes effortless, not because you are more motivated. Because the brain automated the process. Most people never reach this point because they quit when it gets boring. They think boring means they are doing something wrong. But boring means the brain is learning. Boring means the pathway is forming. Boring means you are close. And the people who push through the boring phase are the ones who build discipline that lasts. Not for weeks, for years, for life. Think about the most disciplined person you know. Their life probably looks repetitive. They eat the same breakfast. They follow the same morning routine. They work at the same hours. It looks dull from the outside. But from the inside, it is freedom. Freedom from decision fatigue. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from relying on motivation. The routine runs automatically. They do not have to think. They do not have to push. They just follow the pattern, and the pattern carries them. You can build the same thing. But it requires accepting that discipline is not exciting. It is not supposed to be. Excitement fades. Routine lasts. And if you can embrace the routine, if you can accept the boredom, you will build something that does not rely on how you feel, it just runs. Here is the truth. The goal is not to feel disciplined every day. The goal is to not have to feel anything. The goal is to automate the behavior so completely that it happens whether you are motivated or not, whether you are excited or not, whether you feel like it or not. That is real discipline. That is sustainable discipline. And it is built through repetition. Right now, stop chasing the next exciting thing. Stop looking for the new routine. Stop trying to optimize what is already working. Just repeat. Same time, same place, same behavior, day after day. Let it get boring. Let it feel dull. Let it become so automatic that you stop thinking about it. That is the goal. That is the standard. And that is how disciplined lives are built. Discipline is not about feeling strong. It is about not having to feel anything at all. It is about building a life where the right actions happen automatically, where the structure carries you, where the routine runs whether you show up with energy or exhaustion. That is freedom. That is power. And it is built one boring repetition at a time. Make it boring. Make it automatic. And watch your life transform. Conclusion: living inside a system that carries you. You started this audiobook believing that discipline was about willpower, about being strong enough to push through, about forcing yourself to do hard things every single day. But now you know the truth. Discipline is not about force. It is about design. It is not about being stronger. It is about being smarter. It is not about relying on motivation. It is about building systems that run whether you feel like it or not. Willpower will always run out. That is not a flaw, that is biology. But systems do not run out. Systems do not care how you feel. They do not need inspiration. They do not need excitement. They just run. And when you build your life inside a system, you stop fighting yourself. You stop starting over. You stop wondering if you will follow through. The system carries you. Think about where you were when you started listening. You were probably frustrated, tired of failing, tired of relying on motivation that always faded. Tired of building routines that collapsed the moment life got hard. And now you understand why. It was never about you. It was about the approach. You were trying to build discipline with willpower, and willpower was never designed to carry you through life. But now you have something better. You have the principles. You have the framework. You have the tools to build a life where discipline is not a battle. It is a structure. And that structure does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you built. You learned that discipline is not a trait. It is a design. You do not need to be born disciplined. You need to design your environment so the disciplined choice is the easy choice. You learned that motivation fails, but systems do not. You do not need to feel ready. You need a repeatable process that runs regardless. You learned that environment beats intention. You do not fight temptation. You remove it. You learned that decision fatigue drains your willpower, so you automate decisions and protect your mental energy for what matters. You learned that identity locks discipline in place. You are not trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. The behavior follows the belief. You learned that friction kills action, so you remove the barriers and make starting so easy that not doing it feels harder. You learned that time control is about protecting priorities, not managing tasks. You do less, but what you do matters. You learned that non-negotiable structures eliminate choice. The routine runs, no exceptions, no negotiations. You learned that discipline must be stress-proof. Life will bring chaos, but you have tiers. Ideal, minimum, chaos. You bend, but you do not break. And you learn that discipline becomes automatic when you let it get boring. Repetition builds the pathway. Boredom means it is working. And automatic behavior does not require willpower. These are not theories, these are tools. And now you have them. The question is, will you use them? Because knowing is not enough. You have to build. You have to design. You have to commit to the system and follow it even when it feels uncomfortable. Even when it feels boring, even when life gets chaotic. That is when the system proves itself. That is when you see the difference between someone who knows and someone who does. Right now, your life is the result of your current systems. If you are inconsistent, it is because your system allows inconsistency. If you are distracted, it is because your environment enables distraction. If you keep restarting, it is because your structure has too much friction and not enough automation. But all of that is fixable. You do not need to be a different person. You need to build a different system. And starting today, you can. Pick one behavior, just one. The one that, if done consistently, would change your life. Maybe it is exercise, maybe it is focused work, maybe it is eating better, maybe it is protecting your time. Whatever it is, apply what you learned. Design the environment, remove the friction, automate the decision. Assign it a fixed time, make it non-negotiable, create the chaos version, repeat it until it is boring, and then repeat it some more. Do not try to change everything at once. Change one thing, make it automatic, then add the next. That is how you build a disciplined life. One system at a time, one behavior at a time, one repetition at a time. And over the course of months, you will look back and realize you are no longer the person who needed motivation to act. You are the person who acts because the system runs. And the system always runs. You will have hard days. Days when you do not want to follow through. Days when the structure feels heavy. Days when you are tempted to skip. That is normal. But on those days, remember this. The system does not care how you feel. It just runs. And you follow it. Not because it is easy. Because it is who you are now. You are someone who lives inside a system that carries you. And that system does not fail. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is not about never struggling. It is about never quitting. It is not about feeling strong every day. It is about building a life where strength is not required because the structure does the work. That is freedom. That is power. And it is available to you starting now. You do not need more willpower. You need better systems. You do not need more motivation. You need more structure. You do not need to try harder. You need to design smarter. And now you know how. So take what you learned, build the system, follow the process, trust the repetition, and watch your life change. Not because you became someone else, Because you built something that does not depend on who you are in any given moment. It depends on what you designed, and what you designed will carry you forward every single day, without fail. This is how disciplined lives are built. Not through willpower, through systems, and starting today, you will live inside a system that carries you. If this audiobook has brought you clarity, strength, or peace, consider supporting the channel so more people can find this message. Please like this audio and subscribe. Your support helps this work reach those who feel overwhelmed, anxious, or unprotected, and gives them a path back to calm, confidence, and emotional freedom. Thank you for listening. Stay grounded. Stay wise. You are the anchor in every storm.